Hi, guys. Good morning. Former President Trump joined X Spaces on Monday to talk about cryptocurrency, but he began by talking about the apparent second assassination attempt on his life.
All of a sudden, we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and I would have loved to have sank that last putt. But we decided, well, let's get out of here.
New body cam video shows the moment the suspect was arrested. Phone records reveal Ryan Wesley Routh may have been waiting near Trump International Golf Course for nearly 12 hours. The New York Times reports the Secret Service did not search the perimeter of the club before Trump began his round. Acting Secret Service Director Ron Rose says the golf outing wasn't initially part of Trump's schedule on Sunday, but did not say whether this meant agents did not have time to sweep the course. The Washington Post also reports the Secret Service have known about the security risks at Trump's clubs for years and tried to warn him about it, but he reportedly insisted he was safe and wanted to keep golfing.
Yeah, because there have been previous individuals who have taken pictures of the former president while he's golfing. They've gotten through the shrubs and been able to poke a camera through the fencing. You would think that perhaps maybe they would consider someone scoping the perimeter, but it's a huge area to cover. It's not so easy just to keep walking around at all times because someone could slip in and slip out.
Routh is facing federal gun charges. He may face more charges later. Some who have crossed paths with him in the past have voiced concerns about his behavior. Per the Wall Street Journal, Chelsea Walsh, a nurse who had several encounters with Routh in Kyiv in 2022, said his threats of violence worried her so much that she flagged her concerns to a Customs and Border Protection officer. Here's a neighbor describing Routh, too.
He was very, like I said, jumpy, reserved. Didn't really speak out loud too much, and didn't come off as a political person at all. It seemed very, kind of dangerous. Behaviors were just really strange. Like, he'd walk past here really quickly. Like I said before, kept pace with me for no reason, had no reason to be out at midnight.
Routh's detention hearing is set for Monday, September 23rd, and a probable cause hearing is expected on Monday, September 30th.
Say the line.
Please say the line.
Come on, say the line.
Say your line.
This leads to me saying the line.
Just say your line.
Say your line.
Say your line.
Say the line, Bart.
He was on our radar.
I actually wasn't sure where that one was going. I watched the memes with you. I watched the memes live with you, and we make sure that we have the best memes for the darkest moments in American history that we are facing right now. Tuesday, September 17th, 2024. Ron DeSantis launches Florida state criminal investigation into Trump assassination as the feds freak out. What will he find? Who was communicating with this ever more curious, strange, and dark individual who tried to take Donald Trump's life just a few hours ago? Man, they're trying to brush this story out of the news. But there's somebody else who was arrested. Diddy, rapper, super Democrat donor, and influencer who's interviewed Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama. They're strangely silent on all of this. He wasn't at the DNC. Why is that? Well, he was arrested this morning in New York, the Jeffrey Epstein of the rap industry. How will the polls respond to Donald Trump's assassination attempt and also the fallout or the saving grace of the presidential debate? I think you could argue it both ways, actually. We'll be joined by one of our favorite pollsters, Mark Mitchell of Rasmussen, who will join live along with FBI whistleblower Steve Friend and Congressman Eli Crane. My name is Benny Johnson, and this is The Benny Show. We have so much news, and we have so much we are going to get to today. The people who keep us standing and moving and ripping on this program are our friends at Blackout Coffee. Blackout Coffee courses through our veins and gets us going. I wake up at about 6 a.m. in the morning, and the first thing I do is I hit the blackout, try and get a little bit of a workout in, right? Trying to cruise the news. I'm sitting there with my cup of hot blackout coffee, and I'm ready to go. It's like, it is like the way I start my morning, and I am not going to admit to you how many pots of it I have on my way to the studio. I do average around 1 pot a day of coffee, and you can take it up with my influencer nurse wife, who probably tells me that's not healthy. But you gotta have some. You gotta have some unhealthy. I don't smoke and I don't really drink anymore, so it's like, you know what? Caffeine. And the caffeine that I put into my veins that helps me have the energy to fight the communists is Blackout Coffee. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Use coupon code Benny for 20% off your first order. Blackoutcoffee.com/Benny. Be awake, not woke. Available on Public Square. Okay, baby. This morning we got to the studio and we were hit immediately with a press conference from Ron DeSantis. As Ron DeSantis comes out, I'm like texting my producers. We have people who've worked for Ron DeSantis who are on staff with us. It's like, where did this come from? Just out of nowhere. There's a press conference with the governor and with the attorney general talking about the investigation into Donald Trump and the shooter who wished to murder Donald Trump on Florida, inside of the state of Florida. Therefore, it's Florida's jurisdiction. The reason why this is important is because we argued in the minutes, truly the minutes. It hadn't even been an hour. And the assassination attempt broke on Sunday. We had the right instinct. We were live. We thank you for watching if you were. We had Eric Prince on. And Eric Prince said, DeSantis, you got to do this thing. You got to go and you got to make this your state investigation. He's your prisoner. And so you've got to get the information before any feds can come in and scrub it or bury it, like we've seen so many times, whether it's Russiagate with Robert Mueller, Donald Trump. All this was launched actually by the feds, whether it's the shooter in Pennsylvania, where we just still don't know anything about him. Well, we'll never know. We'll never know his true motives. It's just, this guy happened to be, there's the clip. You can put her up there, Klein. You've got the clip here. This thing went pretty viral. This is the power of the audience. It's got millions of views. It's got 12,000 reposts, 45,000 likes. So the point for us is to make sure that the politicians that listen to us watch the show, or maybe are just scared of the show, that they are doing the right thing. And Ron DeSantis starting his own investigation, since he has every right to read the 10th Amendment. He has every right, and this crime was committed on Florida, inside of the state of Florida. Ron DeSantis should say, no, he's mine, and assert that state power over the feds. And Ron DeSantis did that this morning without announcing his press conference. And so we probably would have been live if we had known about it ahead of time. But here we go. Ron DeSantis comes out just suddenly live this morning saying, we are making this a state criminal case. And we are going to get our bite of the apple, as it were, and we're going to be releasing all that information to the public before it can be scrubbed by the feds or buried by the feds. Again, we don't know anything about Thomas Crooks. Nothing. We know nothing. What was his motivations? Who was he speaking with? Who was he talking to? All of it has literally been scrubbed by the FBI. You could see the images of them literally power washing the blood off the roof, cremating the body, or allowing the body to be releasing the body for cremation. That's destruction of evidence. This is an ongoing criminal investigation. So many circumstances there. So we're so glad that Ron DeSantis came out and said this morning.
Today, I'm signing an executive order assigning the case involving the attempted assassination of former President Donald Trump to the Office of Statewide Prosecutor under the supervision of Attorney General Ashley Moody. The suspect, Ryan Routh, is believed to have committed state law violations across multiple judicial circuits in the state. Palm Beach Judicial Circuit, the Judicial Circuit including Martin County, as well as perhaps the Judicial Circuit represented by Broward County. Also, the state of Florida has jurisdiction over the most serious, straightforward offense, which is attempted murder. I've directed state agencies to move expeditiously and to provide full transparency to the public. In my judgment, it's not in the best interest of our state or our nation to have the same federal agencies that are seeking to prosecute Donald Trump leading this investigation, especially when the most serious, straightforward offense constitutes a violation of state law, but not federal law. In addition to holding the suspect accountable, the public deserves to know the truth about how this assassination came to be. And I have directed all state agencies to work expeditiously to be able to uncover the truth in addition to holding this suspect accountable. We are going to hear from some folks that will be involved in this, starting with our Attorney General, Ashley Moody.
Thank you, Governor. Thank you for all who are joining us today. I'm Ashley Moody. I'm the Attorney General of the great state of Florida. Really proud, as always, to stand with a leader like Governor DeSantis, who always appears to meet the moment, whatever that may be, whatever challenge may be upon us. And he's certainly not one to sit on his hands. And today is another demonstration of that incredible leadership characteristic. You know, I think America right now and Florida citizens are very hungry for leadership. This is unprecedented to have this much focus on a presidential nominee with the type of rhetoric and threats coming out of the mouths of so many people. And I will just say, it was really disappointing to hear the president say that President Trump should be put in a bullseye just days before we saw the first assassination attempt, and then weeks later at the DNC say that that threat was still very much alive, and now again, in under 30 days, another assassination attempt. And so what I think people are hungry for is leadership. They don't want somebody to come out and say, Secret Service needs to tell us what they need and Congress should do something about it. It may very well be that more resources need to be dedicated to Secret Service. But leadership is about strategy. It's about implementing a plan. It's about determining where your gaps are, your deficiencies, and filling those in. I mean, look no further than our governor when we were hit by a major catastrophe like Ian, a hurricane, and he didn't say, somebody give them money. And he didn't say, you do this. He built a bridge in 3 days. He got it done. I told him that's what he should have ran on when he ran for re-election. That was it. The motto should have been a bridge in 3 days. And so what we need is the president to acknowledge that these agencies, not just Secret Service, but DHS, in which it is housed, are under his purview. That is what the people elected him to be. Our commander-in-chief and the head of an executive branch which is made up of agencies. And that means when something happens and goes wrong, you are in the details and you are formulating a plan, and it may not always be just about money. It's about leadership. And right now, the American people need to know we're on this. Sometimes states have the ability and the jurisdiction to bring charges and go after maximum penalties that maybe the federal government does not. And that doesn't mean it's a turf war. Somebody asked me about that before. It is very common for state investigators, state prosecutors to work with our federal prosecutors and federal agents on dual tracks with different purposes. And we may have different charges here, and that's why with Governor DeSantis' leadership, I am proud that Florida Department of Law Enforcement and the Florida Highway Patrol will be looking into and investigating what happened when something went terribly wrong, when someone was allowed to remain on the periphery of a golf course in a tree line for 12 hours and get within 500 feet of the President of the United States. We also need trust and transparency. And that's why I'm very proud of the state of Florida for stepping up and this governor for stepping up and delivering that to Floridians and the American people. It is awkward, to say the least, to have a prosecutorial agency and an investigatory agency that is bringing charges and seeking to put the victim away for life, being the same agency and prosecutors that are going after the would-be assassin. And so we're happy to make sure that the American people and Floridians feel confident that we're protecting one of our own, that we're investigating this to leave no stone unturned, and that is to protect the life of the once and potentially future President of the United States, Donald Trump. So thank you, Governor DeSantis, for trusting us and our agencies with this important work.
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is, again, something that went live without us knowing it was going to happen at 9 a.m. Again, we communicate with Governor DeSantis' team with regularity, and we didn't know this. So they just went live this morning, and it was wonderful to hear this. I had to tell you, man, this is a law and order state, dude. We live here. There's the reason why I moved my family here from the hellscape that was Washington, D.C. You know, you moved to D.C. for 10 years, you work in journalism. I worked for Andrew Breitbart, worked for a lot of wonderful, journalistic organizations, Glenn Beck, The Blaze. I was working, you got to live in D.C., but eventually you just break and you're like, I need to have law and order. And I need to have a system of government that is designed around protecting people who follow the law and prosecuting the people who don't. And so it's like it's wonderful to hear DeSantis be like, we can bring charges the feds can't because he committed state crimes here that the feds can't charge. That's how it works. So we're the people who are actually put the gears and put the teeth of this guy. Have you ever seen anything like that in Pennsylvania? And it gets the blood going, really. It makes me think I really chose my state correctly because you haven't once seen Josh Shapiro, those little sniveling rats that run Pennsylvania. These people, they're totally illegitimate. And these monsters have never once had a press conference about the murder that took place in Pennsylvania. Corey Comptonor died. He was shot to death by a left-winger who tried to murder people at a MAGA rally, including but not limited to President Trump. And yet I've heard nothing, radio silence from the Democrats around Pennsylvania, which leads you to believe that actually they don't want to bring attention to this, or maybe they just don't care. Maybe they don't care enough. So it's a wonderful thing to see. And also Ashley Moody there, who's our neighbor here in Tampa. Ashley Moody is the Attorney General of the state of Florida, making a very clear and very good point. They're trying to put Trump in jail. I think that's strange. The FBI is trying to put Trump in jail. Jesus raided Mar-a-Lago. You want to know those criminals, Mar-a-Lago. Why don't we start with the people who raided Mar-a-Lago? By the way, with a kill order. Everybody forgot about that? The FBI went in guns a-blazing, guns drawn with a kill order to Mar-a-Lago. Not too long ago, just a year or two ago. So who are the people who are dangerous in this property and in this area who are trying to why would you have a kill order at Mar-a-Lago? Answer that. Oh, it's normal process. Well, this isn't normal. You're raiding the president's house. Why would you have a kill order? Donald Trump's protected by Secret Service. You were trying to create a blue-on-blue havoc situation where people got hurt. We know that's what you were trying to do, you sick monsters. And so good on them. Good on the state of Florida. Being like, no, F you. You're trying to put Trump in jail. You were the ones trying to raid his house with guns drawn, trying to create a dangerous situation for him and his family. You raided Barron Trump's room, Melania Trump's boudoir, rummaged through Melania Trump's unmentionables, and then staged photos and planted evidence. So no, we don't trust you to do a thorough investigation. The FBI agent in charge, his name's Jeffrey Veltri, ALX, please check me on that. Jeffrey Veltri, the guy in charge, had to go through and delete all of his anti-Trump posts. This guy's a seething anti-Trump. This is a vicious anti-Trump hater. He was forced by Christopher Wray to go delete all of his posts. I still kept his job. And now he's the guy in charge of, he's the guy in charge of finding the truth. Oh, okay. Secret Service Director Ronald Rowe yesterday, patting himself on the back, bragging about himself. Director Lunkhead, we call him, patting himself on the back. It was a great job he did. The shooter camped out for 12 hours. He was known to the FBI. The FBI got a tip in 2019 that the shooter was a felon, he is, and had firearms, he did, And then he used those firearms to try and murder Trump while camping out at his club for 12 hours. You know, a drone, these are very, we have drones. We have a number of drones. These are good. You know, they're common object. These are not particularly expensive. And you could just fly a drone there with infrared and you could see anybody hiding in the bushes. You are aware of that, right? Like no matter how camouflaged you are, you're not going to camouflage the fact that you're a human being and you're warm-blooded. Okay, unless it was Hillary Clinton hiding in the weeds, then it would be like lizard person. My God, who is this? What's this cold body? Is it cold-blooded lizard? We don't know. It's a huge iguana. We've never seen anything this big. Oh my God, it's running. It's running for president again, hopefully. So there you go. They're like, God, nobody should be proud of themselves in this situation. I'm very proud of the state of Florida taking this over. Okay, so Ron DeSantis took some questions from the press. Why is this necessary? You can imagine what the questions. This is Ron DeSantis. This is peak Ron DeSantis. This is where he's at his best, explaining to smooth brains in the media how they are corrupt emissaries and bootlickers, and that this stuff doesn't fly in the state of Florida. Go.
Well, it's not a question of casting doubt. I'm going to answer you. So, well, for a couple reasons. One, the federal government does not have jurisdiction to bring an attempted murder charge. If you look at the federal statute, it applies to current federal officials. Well, okay, so I'm explaining to you why that's happening, if you let me finish. So they don't have jurisdiction over a case that's not a federal official or is a apparent winner of a presidential election or the formally declared president-elect. So right then and there, we have the ability to pursue potentially life in prison under state law. That's a huge reason why we should move forward at the state level than that. And it is the case that you have a situation where these charges that were brought in this jurisdiction, Southern District of Florida, by the federal government, they were dismissed by a federal judge, and now they're on appeal trying to get those reinstated. And they have a right to do that. But I would note to you, it was Merrick Garland who assigned a special counsel because he said there was a political issue and they wanted to appear to be above it. He was the one that did that. There really was no true conflict. If these were normal crimes, you could have done it. But they did a special counsel. And so if you did a special counsel for that, wouldn't those same concerns animate whether you're the appropriate jurisdiction? So they cannot pursue charges to the extent we can. And yes, I do think that there's a lot of concern about how these agencies have operated. And the state of Florida, I mean, you know, for us, all we're interested in is the truth. We're not involved in any of those other things that the Justice Department or FBI have been involved in. So it's better for the public and it's better for justice. Next. Yes, sir. Well, that's what the investigation, I think, will show. You know, some people say, well, how would he have known to be there? But I think those of you who've covered the former president, when he is at Mar-a-Lago on the weekends, that is the #1 place he goes. So it isn't like this was like a 1 in a million chance. On the other hand, this guy went at night, and it was not on any schedule that this was going to happen. It was more of a last-minute thing. And I don't even know that the club is open yet. I think they open in October. I know, in fact, I was talking with them a week or two ago. They did a lot of overseating. I think the course is going to be in really good shape. And he's like, you got to come down and see it. But I don't think it's even open for the members yet. So why would he have chosen now to burrow in to that? I don't know the answer to that question. Our folks are going to look to see. And here's the thing. I'm not interested in trying to like blame this person or that person. It's okay. Let's just get the facts. Let's put it out for the public. Let's figure out what, I mean, this guy, I mean, you look at his rap sheet, you look at the things he's been involved in. This guy had red flags. I know he's been looked at by federal law enforcement. How the heck did it end up where he's in West Palm Beach in those bushes. And that's apart from the prosecution. People deserve the truth about that. They need to know his associations. They need to know his motivations, his ideology. And our guys are doing it. In fact, as soon as this happened, when I said investigate, I said save the social media, because what they do, Facebook will take it down and try to hide it. FDLE saved all the social media, and they've been doing that type of research. So I think it's I think it needs to be done. But that's I have no preconceived notions on this. They're going to do it, but they're going to do a thorough job, and I think produce answers that people have confidence in. Yes.
Spoken to the former president since this incident?
I have.
Can you tell us anything about that?
So he was in good spirits. He did remark that, on that sixth hole, I think he was in pretty good shape for a potential birdie. And if you know the former president, that matters a lot to him when you're talking about this. And I told him a couple weeks ago, I said, the number one thing I got from the Biden debate was people said, you were very reserved, except when Biden claimed he had a 6 handicap. Then you just wouldn't accept that because you knew it wasn't true, and it isn't true. So he was in good spirits, but he was a complimentary of the state of Florida taking the lead. He thought that was totally appropriate, and he encouraged us to continue doing what we're doing. So, clearly we have an interest in doing this apart from anything else, but it was great that he sees the need for what we're doing and that we're going to move forward.
Just a reminder that Ron DeSantis was a JAG lawyer and worked for the Navy and knows in and out. I believe he went to Yale. Is this correct? Make sure that I'm right on that. Don't F around. F around and find out on these legal issues. Yeah, okay, so he did. So F around and find out on these legal issues. DeSantis is very, very, very rock solid on this, and the feds can't charge attempted murder here. And also the breakdown of, you're appointing special prosecutors against this guy in order to politically persecute him in our state. And now there's a crime in our state where he was nearly murdered. So you're attempting a political assassination of Trump, and now there's a physical assassination of Trump, and we're not going to let you get away with it. I love that DeSantis and his team was smart enough to say, capture all of his social media. And so he directed the law enforcement agencies here in Florida, who are all aligned. They're part of the press conference. This press conference was over an hour, so we're not going to play all of it. They were agencies that are involved in law enforcement and cyber here in the state of Florida that has a very sophisticated, there's a lot of people moving here. There's a lot of wealth, a lot of energy moving here. There's a reason why the world's billionaires are moving to Florida. There's a lot of security, safety, and a sophisticated law enforcement apparatus run here by the state that gives people a lot of confidence to move their treasure into the state. And DeSantis says, we saved his social media. We have everything. You can't effing lie about this guy. You're not going to be allowed to go walk into Congress and say Thomas Crooks was a Republican. This is what they did. And they walked in and said Thomas Crooks was a Republican shooting Trump. We may never know. Well, DeSantis just throwing down the gauntlet, saying we saved it all. Before they go and delete it, we saved it all. So they have it. So it's all been it's great. Our team also has quite a bit. And sure enough, they did delete it. Boom, like that, as soon as it became public. It's amazing what you learn about this guy. You learn he's a Democrat donor. He voted in Democrat elections, that he lived in Hawaii, yet he voted in North Carolina. He's a felon. How's he even voting? How's he buying firearms? Where's he getting the gun? The gun had an obliterated serial number. The FBI was supposed to investigate this guy for being a felon and owning a firearm. If he was a felon and he did own a firearm and tried to kill Trump with that firearm, and the FBI said, it's too hard, we can't do it. Better go knock on the doors of Catholic churches more. Better go arrest more grannies for protesting abortion. I am so glad that the state is doing this. Ron DeSantis had one more spectacular point during a Q&A. You got to hear it, about what the federal government is doing in persecuting and prosecuting Trump and why it's so important to have an independent investigation go.
So here's the issue. They are trying to prosecute him in the Southern District of Florida. That's just a fact. So just think about that. You have an agency, they're prosecuting him in 2 different jurisdictions right now. They're prosecuting him in southern Florida. That's on appeal to the 11th Circuit. They're also prosecuting in the District of Columbia for the January 6th stuff. So these are 2 major cases that these agencies are involved with. And so the question is, given that, and there's a lot of people who have a lot of issues with those prosecutions. I mean, as you well know, it's not like these are prosecutions that the American people have rallied behind. It has divided this country in big ways. And so the question is, you have those prosecutions. Do we honestly think these agencies are the best to turn around and do this investigation on a potential assassin that some of them may or may not want to be held accountable for if there was something they could have done better, right, with security? I don't know what all went into the federal stuff, but man, don't you want a clean slate? Don't you want to have investigative agencies that are just going to pursue this without any other agenda creeping in, without there being any cause for concern about any impartiality? And oh, by the way, that can bring the most serious, readily provable offense under state law, not under federal law. So this is the right thing to do for justice. And I think justice means holding the perpetrator accountable to the full extent of the law, but justice also means making sure we get the unvarnished truth. We haven't gotten the unvarnished truth about Butler, Pennsylvania. That's just a fact. We never got really any truth about Las Vegas when that happened. And so I think people are used to kind of the federal agencies taking control of things and then no answers happening. And we don't want that to happen in this case. That's not appropriate to happen in this case, especially when the state of Florida has multiple grounds with which to pursue charges against this individual. I think what will reveal, I think, is the important thing. What the state does is going to be made public. I mean, if you guys know who are from Florida, you can FOIA a lot of the stuff that's done in these investigations under Florida sunshine laws, and then they have a charge to be very frank and exercise candor with the public. I want the information to get out. I do not want any of the information kept under wraps. We're not a party to anything that happened in terms of the state of Florida government. I mean, we have been asked to help in the past on security, and we're always willing to do that. But that wasn't our primary. We were not responsible for it that day. We've not been responsible for any of the prosecutions that have been brought against the former president. So we're in a great situation to be able to look at this with clear eyes, get answers, and then deliver those answers to the public. I don't think anyone can honestly claim that the federal government has been forthright and transparent about its past investigations. That's just the reality. That's just how these guys operate. Apart from any type of political bias, that's how it's been really for many, many years. That's not how it's going to be here. And so we'll cooperate with all agency or all levels of government, because I think that some of those gun charges may be appropriate to bring, but not to the exclusion of bringing a charge for something like attempted murder.
Wow. I am blown away. I was screaming. We mute my mic for these exact reasons. I screamed in the studio. I just screamed. I can't believe he brought up Vegas. DeSantis just brought up Las Vegas, the largest mass shooting in American history, and we know nothing. Nothing. When the federal government hides information from the public, then by its very nature, what it is doing is engaging in a conspiratorial cover-up to try and deceive us, to try and lie to you. There's so many questions about Vegas. We do not have enough time to get into it. There's so many strange occurrences that happen around that Vegas shooting, and people deserve justice. They deserve to know. There are dozens of people who died there. I don't know the exact number. 55 is the number that's coming into my head, but there are dozens of people who died. And those families deserve closure. What the hell happened exactly? When was the last time you had the feds come out and say, oh, this is the largest mass shooting in American history. We know there's so many strange occurrences that are surrounding it. We're going to be clear and concise and give you all of the evidence, and you're going to see everything. You're going to see everything, every object, every firearm, every bullet. You're going to see it all. and we're going to try and close the door on what actually happened here. Nope. Nothing. When was the last time the feds did a, hey, media, come on in, bring all your cameras in, and we're going to tell you everything we know about Butler. Here's the dude's cell phone. Here we cracked the case. Here's how everyone he was talking to. Here's all the foreign countries he was engaging with. Here's what he was saying on Gab and all these other alternative social media platforms. When was the last time they did it? And this is what we know. And these are the hard facts, ma'am. Just to clear it all up for you. By not doing that, what the federal government does is necessitate independent investigation and people who are asking real questions. We're very thankful for our next guest, Eli Crane, from the great state of Arizona, a wonderful member of Congress, a Navy SEAL, somebody who's been in war zones and protected this country. He's been shot at and shot back successfully, and he's well aware of the threats to President Trump. He's endorsed by President Trump. He's doing his own independent investigation of the assassination attempts, and we're proud to have him join the show live now. Congressman, thank you so much for being on the program. This has got to be music to your ears hearing Governor DeSantis this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Benny. I'm glad that Governor DeSantis is conducting his own investigation. I want to point out a couple things that I've been looking at since this second assassination attempt took place. We got lucky again. The Secret Service got lucky again in that in both cases, neither of these individuals were trained. And I can tell you by looking at one of the photos that the public has had access to, the photo with his rifle up against the fence with the two ceramic plates hanging on the fence. In sniper terminology, we would call that an FFP, a final firing position, where you're going to be taking your final shot to execute your target. One of the things that I noticed was that based on the story that he stuck his gun through the fence, and that's what the Secret Service agent noticed. A trained shooter would cut a hole in that fence, something we call a loophole, so that he could set back and stand off and continue to be in the shade back away from the fence. The other thing, a trained individual would not put those two big, dark bags that have straight lines in them, right up against the fence, because that's something that an observer or a Secret Service agent, as he's scanning a fence line, the eye would catch, because nature does not have straight lines in it. And so once again, I make all that point to, say that we got lucky again, and that the assassins that are coming after Trump to this point are not trained individuals. What happens when the smoke screen, that's gone up to all these actors around the world, and even some of the folks here in this country that would love to kill President Trump, and they actually start sending trained people, like Eric Prince was talking about, a 5-man Hezbollah team. And so, that's point number one. Point number two is this. The president, my advice to the president is to bolster your private security around you, not only to fill holes in the gaps that the Secret Service continues to leave open, but also to watch the watchers. There is a very real possibility at this point that there is a mole within the Secret Service team surrounding the president, or at the highest levels of the Secret Service. And so he does need somebody, a group of individuals around him that are loyal to him and are not politicized. They're not worried about seeking promotion, and they don't answer to people that hate the president. And so, that would be my advice to the president at this point.
We were in Butler together, and I'm forever grateful for you talking me through what happened in Butler as we were on site. It's so remarkable, the lack of curiosity from the rest of the media about what happened in Butler. However, it is remarkable when you go there to see, one, the fence line that was totally unprotected, where just 100 yards away was President Trump and everyone at the MAGA rally, and a trained group of militiamen, as you pointed out, could have killed hundreds, actually, given that security perimeter. It was a grotesque and egregious, and thank God that it was just one lone gunman, and he wasn't professionally trained, as you said. However, it was something that was on the president's official schedule. You could have planned a bad event around that, because Well, for months, they said they were going to Butler, Pennsylvania, and they said where they were going to be. What happened yesterday, and I can't get this out of my head, 48 hours ago on Sunday, Congressman, was not a planned event. It was OTR. It was totally fluid. You've traveled with President Trump. His schedule is completely fluid. There's no way to predict where he was going to be. Yet this assassin sat inside of his sniper's nest, even if it is badly positioned, for 12 hours with what seemed to be deep assurance that President Trump was going to be at that location when nobody, including our show or any show, knew where President Trump was going to be. And so is this why you're saying that Trump's got to watch the watchers?
Yeah, well, it's one of the things that you have to consider. But the other thing too is that I don't believe that the Secret Service in many cases is making wise security decisions. You know, I talked to you, Benny, at length, and your audience about why didn't the Secret Service place any of their counter sniper teams on that water tower? Had they done that, and that was the very first thing that I noticed when I got on site. That was a chip shot for any counter sniper. That was like a 130-yard shot and had direct purview over the AGR building. I don't think that the Secret Service is making good security decisions as well. So that's why I think the president needs to bolster his private security, presence, so that they can watch it, not only the decisions that are being made, but if there is a hole that the Secret Service can't fill, they can go augment that and support that.
So what do you think is the likelihood that this individual, I suppose we'll find out in an investigation, and now we have some assurances that there's going to be a proper investigation here. What do you think of is the probability that this gunman, this would-be assassin, knew ahead of time where Donald Trump was going to be? And I'll preface this by saying we covered yesterday on the program an FBI assistant director spoke to Fox News and said there's a real chance he was tipped off.
Yeah, I think it's very possible, Benny. And I think that there's a lot more possibilities that would be very alarming to the American people that could play out here. But to your point, that's why I'm so glad that Governor DeSantis is deciding to take this responsibility, take it seriously, and put some of his good people on it that don't have some bias towards the president.
What say you about the FBI? That is, Jeffrey Veltri is the person who's in charge of this investigation. Before he got promoted, he had to delete a bunch of anti-Trump posts on Facebook that he made. And then the same FBI that raided Mar-a-Lago with guns drawn and with a kill order at Mar-a-Lago, now saying they're here to fully protect the president. It doesn't make any sense to me, Congressman.
Yeah, you're right. And this is the same FBI, Benny, that I believe, I'm about 90% certain, has continued to lie to us about the January 6th pipe bomber. Director Wray told me in a committee hearing that he was doing everything in his power using, he went over all the resources that he had committed to, solving the January 6th pipe bomber situation. The one guy that could have created multiple mass casualties in Washington, D.C. on January 6th, who hasn't been caught yet we were able to, round up all over the country, American citizens that in many cases were allowed to walk into the Capitol. And so, I don't buy it. I don't buy their story about that. I don't buy the fact that they're going to do a thorough investigation and release that information to the American people. And that's why I think it's so important that, parallel investigations like the one that myself and Corey Mills have continued to do on the Butler rally, and even the one that Governor DeSantis is doing, is very important, because so much of the time the organizations, the task forces, a lot of it's political, and this is no time for politics. This is time, to get to the bottom of things and make sure that this doesn't happen again, in addition to being transparent with the American people.
Final question here that I just can't figure out, and I know you're a lot smarter and more accomplished than me, so maybe you can explain it to me and my audience. You're a Navy SEAL, so you know firearms and firearm laws probably quite well. You're a member of Congress, so you know voting laws quite well. How did Ryan Ralph vote in North Carolina in 2024? Just 6 months ago, he voted in the Democrat primary in person for Joe Biden. How did this Joe Biden voter vote in North Carolina, even though he lived in Hawaii? how was he able to purchase firearms when he had weapons of mass destruction felonies on his record? He had that in 2002. We have the arrest record. There's 100 criminal charges for this guy. Well, how's he able to get his hands on weapons? How's he able to vote in Democrat primaries? Everything seems incredibly suspicious. And final question, just for fun, how did this guy who was unemployed able to purchase tickets to Ukraine, Washington, D.C., Hawaii, Florida? Who's paying for this?
Yeah, well, as far as your voting question, I guess our elections aren't as transparent and tight as a lot of folks in the establishment would have you believe. As far as the gun question, it's just one more reason why these Democrats who want to take away our firearms can't be allowed to do that, because criminals don't care about laws. They don't care about gun laws, right? And our founding fathers knew that. And a lot of us still know it. And that's why it's important to protect that Second Amendment. And that's something that we've seen, Benny, now. A lot of Democrats are once again coming out and they're using this as an opportunity to push their gun control narrative and kind of distract us from what the focus of this needs to be, and trying to make sure that no president, no presidential candidate, regardless of who he is, has people that want to kill him be able to get this close to him and almost pull it off.
Yeah. Someone's going to have to eventually explain that. Where's the money coming from? The bank statements don't lie. Right. So where was the money coming from for this guy to do all of this ubiquitous travel and then wind up for 12 hours outside of Trump's golf course with an illegally purchased firearm? A final thought here. The FBI said that they got a tip. We were waiting for this yesterday. He was on the FBI radar for what? For being a felon with a firearm. And now it turns out he's a felon with a firearm that tried to kill Trump, and they didn't stop it.
Yeah, well, it seems to be par for the course these days. I'm sure the Babylon Bee will be cooking up an interesting headline on that one.
Thank you, Congressman. Godspeed. Everybody follow Eli Crane. He's just one of the real ones, actually, in Congress. Here's the account, and make sure that we put power, energy, and momentum into the people that are actually doing the Lord's work in that dark city.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it, Benny.
Godspeed. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's always important to have on people who are have the capacity to actually do their own investigations. So we're proud of DeSantis this morning. We're also proud of our next guest, who is an FBI whistleblower, who is someone who's we've been really excited to speak with on this, and has been making quite a few waves. He knows the FBI culture and potentially the conflicts of interest and the rot inside of that organization better than anyone. Joining the show live now is Steve Friend. Steve, thanks so much for being on the program. Really appreciate it. Your thoughts on the takeaways here with Ron DeSantis saying we cannot trust an FBI that is openly investigating and prosecuting Donald Trump to run a counter criminal investigation into someone who's trying to kill Donald Trump.
I avow those sentiments entirely. There's a clear conflict of interest, particularly when the FBI Miami field office is simultaneously supposed to be investigating him and helping to prosecute him, and then they're going to treat him as a victim in a completely different case. It doesn't make any sense. And the FBI pledges consistently that they are all about cooperating with state and local partners here. I want to put them for a decision for all their chips on this one. Let's see if they really do want to cooperate and share information, because there are legitimate violations of state law. I live in Florida, and I'm happy and I'm proud of the governor for actually having stepped up and put them for that decision to call them out, because I do not believe the FBI wants to share toys on this one. They want to bury this just like they did with the Butler, Pennsylvania assassination attempt, calling that one possible domestic terrorism. That one was slipped past the radar when the FBI was testifying in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee. They said, well, this could potentially be domestic terrorism. Well, I know as a subject matter expert, well, that means that it's classified. We can't talk about that with you. You don't have the clearance. I'm sorry. You don't have a need to know. We're going to have to do this in a classified setting. America can't know the details. So good on Ron DeSantis for putting that pressure here.
Can you talk me through what is happening now in the hours after this assassination attempt? Who would have custody? We saw him in federal court yesterday at 10 a.m. and just hearing the charges read off to him, some firearm charges. Ron DeSantis going with attempted murder charges. Who has custody right now of the assassin? Who has his phone and devices? And what are the protocols here? Of course, you just detailed how the federal government is able to bury these things. We do not want that to happen.
Yes, the FBI is going to assume the lead in their federal investigation, but that does not preclude the state from carrying out its own investigation. They still have the force of law. They can issue subpoenas and search warrants, and they're going to have to cooperate when it comes to actually reviewing evidence. The FBI is going to have the chain of custody of that evidence, but that doesn't stop the state of Florida from bringing charges. I dealt with this. I worked on Indian reservations, so there were tribal forces in play, and we had federal charges, and we would do those things simultaneously. And normally you would do that in a cooperative fashion. And look, the locals would dismiss their charges. The feds had theirs because there's no need to do it. There's no need to bring in, a lot of confusion here, but that does not preclude it. And the FBI is going to get hoisted by their own petard on this one, because what typically happens is a state law enforcement agency, like a local cop, will bust a guy with an illegal gun. And the FBI, after all the danger is clear, will come in and say, ooh, we have a federal charge here. We'll take credit for that and scoop up and do the Office Space thing where they actually just take the file over to the federal prosecutor, don't do any actual work, and then claim that they stopped some sort of like serial armed robber because he happened to get pulled over on a traffic stop. Again, the state charges don't have to be dismissed. So the state of Florida will bring those charges forward, and then it's going to be sort of the unstoppable force meets the immovable object. Will the FBI actually hold true to its pledge that it's going to cooperate? Or are they going to say, no, well, we're going to big time you on that one, which will make political hay, especially here in the closing weeks of the fiscal year, because I'd like to call on Congress in the House to say, hey, look, your funding is contingent on your willingness to cooperate with Florida on this.
Yes. I mean, what we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania was, by every definition, a complete cover-up. They cremated the body, Steve. I mean, they power washed the roof within hours of the assassination attempt that ended in the murder of an innocent American. We went there just days afterwards. There was no crime scene. I was in shock. We put it all in documentary. I was in shock. There were no federal agents. There was no yellow tape. This is like the first time a president's been assassinated or attempt in 40 years, and there was nothing. And it seemed very eerily vacant to me, as though the cover-up was in full swing. And now we've heard the testimony. We've been lied to by the federal authorities multiple times in congressional testimony, and we've heard nothing. I've seen no energy at all put forward to explaining to the American people what happened in Butler.
You're not going to, because the prime directive here is to protect the brand, be it the FBI's brand or the Secret Service's brand, or they do the, hey, you, me, you, same, we'll look out for each other on this one, brother, because these agencies exist on this myth of competence that they have. And because people watch movies and TV and they think, well, wow, they have that capability. It's really just DMV workers for the most part. It's people who are midwits who are going about doing their day. And that's why they asked for the 60-day investigation that there was a lot of outrage about. What you have to understand about the FBI is you have to do one investigative action every 90 days on a case for it to be deemed to be appropriate. For them to do anything that was beyond that, I mean, you're cutting their time in half. That was going to be a significant lift for them. And on top of that, the fact that, you could speculate here, and I will, that shooter Crooks in Butler, he kind of fits the bill nicely for an FBI entrapment scheme, doesn't he? The vulnerable guy who's emotionally disturbed, who they might be poking and prodding with undercovers and informants. And hey, why don't you go do a terrorism? Doesn't that sound good? And then he just went rogue and grabbed his dad's rifle and decided to take a shot that day. Maybe that's why they buried it as a domestic terrorism investigation, because they already had one open. And then you go down now to FBI Miami, where Jeffrey Veltri, who's the special agent in charge, and say that he's a politically partisan guy. Do you know that before that he was the deputy assistant director of the security division for the FBI? And from that post said he wanted to purge military veterans and people who attended church regularly from employment within the FBI because they likely lacked loyalty to the agency.
Wow. I did not know that. I know that he was forced to delete anti-Trump screeds that he was posting online. I mean, how good can you be at your job if you're posting about the president? Well,
the operational security for Jeffrey Veltri is probably on par with the Secret Service, as they were letting know where President Trump was going to be on Sunday, even though it was unscheduled.
That is, I suppose, my final question for you, which would be how would this gunman know to camp out there for 12 hours? It's one thing. That's what rang a bell for me so much. Two-part question, I suppose. One, this was sort of fit as maybe a crime of the good luck, right? Crime of the circumstance. He just happened to find the right time, right moment, and he got him. He's just standing there. That dude knew where Trump was going to be. There's no other way that he would be camping out there for 12 hours. And then how the hell did the FBI not get this guy? I mean, they admit yesterday that they had a beat on him for being a felon and owning a firearm. Well, this felon who owns a firearm nearly killed the president. And the FBI did nothing. They got that tip in 2019. And the follow-up from Veltri was like, we don't know.
Well, we have to make some logical assumptions here. I think that most of us have more than 2 brain cells in our head. We can probably do. This is what's the possibilities. It could have been either he camps out at that spot every single day, and the rare hope that maybe Donald Trump goes by and he can take a shot at him. Or he decided that day to make that his first day that he was going to camp out there every single day, or he had advanced knowledge. Now, was that because there was negligence involved and there was some sort of security leak that went to him, or is there somebody who was complicit in that? Outside of that, I can't square the circle. Those are the only real conclusions that we can go into it.
And the FBI, the explanation was unacceptable to me. Veltri got up and said, yes, this guy was on our radar. Yes, we knew he was a felon. Yes, we knew he owned firearms. And we just allow him to camp out at Trump's golf course with a gun. They knew this guy was dangerous. This guy was like fit every red flag in the book, but they just allow him to do it. It makes no sense to me.
It's an issue of priorities from the FBI standpoint. Look, they have a quota system called integrated program management, and they set the metrics themselves. So they set metrics for themselves to achieve so they can pat themselves on the back and get bonuses of $50,000 each. Jeffrey Veltri is the beneficiary of that as a senior executive service guy. And they just have the metrics set really high on grandmas who walked into the Capitol on January 6th and 89-year-old concentration camp survivors who pray outside of abortion clinics.
Yeah. Amazing. Not the clear lunatics who've had their brains broken, who are felons, who the charge that made him a felon in 2002 was a weapon of mass destruction charge. It was
a fully automatic gun. The description of it is written by somebody who doesn't know anything about firearms. So you might as well just put bazooka there. And it doesn't appear he actually did any sort of time in prison, which is also sort of suspect. It's really suspect. Final note on this, given your understanding of the Bureau and given your understanding of how this system works for and against, what would be your advice to President Trump and his security? I would actually like to see President Trump do a James Garfield style campaign for the remaining days and camp out at Mar-a-Lago and say, look, I don't trust the Harris-Biden Secret Service. In fact, I want to make sure that enough resources go to the current sitting president and vice president, and they need as much as they can. I've already had a supporter murdered, and I don't want to have that happen. I'm going to make Mar-a-Lago the Florida version of the White House. I'm going to be having press conferences, and I'll do unlimited podcasts. Have somebody like you down there, Benny, to go interview him, and then he can have that and protect and ensure that and message it in a way that means that the Secret Service is not within his control yet. And should he be elected, he'll day one take corrective measures.
Yeah, that's right. Ronald Rowe left a lot wanting yesterday in his press conference. Steve, you are a exceedingly brave whistleblower. You have to follow Steve on social media. He's absolutely one of the best. Nearly 100,000 followers here, and he's hopefully going to be a regular on the program. We'd love to have you back to pick your brain on this stuff, because it's important to have somebody who really understands how the gears work, man.
I appreciate the opportunity. Happy to be a resource anytime. Thanks for having me today.
Godspeed. All right. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, so important to get people who are subject matter experts on the program. FBI whistleblowers, people who've worked inside the FBI and worked with the FBI, saying Donald Trump should just cancel his entire campaign. I'm not sure if I can totally endorse that, because I love the MAGA rally and I like Donald Trump going out and mixing it up at McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. But that is a stark comment. Donald Trump should just campaign from Mar-a-Lago. And he should not trust federal agents. Whew. We talked about yesterday how there was a Secret Service whistleblower who, in the aftermath of Butler, Pennsylvania, came out and said, there will be another assassination attempt. It'll happen in the next 30 days. What happens in 60 days? Another assassination attempt. Enough to give you a chill, baby. Enough to give you a chill. Get a chill, if you wish, a thrill up your spine when your investments go up with our friends at Allegiance Gold. Allegiance Gold, of course, gold is the best performing asset this side of Bitcoin in the year 2024. What a world we're living in. Gold is the best performing asset this year. Get your hands on some. Diversify right now. Like, do it the way that I do it. Just diversify a little bit into something that can't be destroyed by our own Federal Reserve. Every time they print a dollar, that makes our dollars less valuable. And based on the way that things are going, they're printing a lot of dollars. 55 cents of every single dollar taken in by the federal government now goes to debt servicing. This is unsustainable. Go to protectwithbenny.com today. Protectwithbenny.com today. Call 844-66-BENNY right now. Get $5,000 in free silver with a qualifying purchase. Protectwithbenny.com today. All right, ladies and gentlemen. This is really, really a rockin' show. I'm really glad that we've been able to go in on so many of these important issues and talk about what are the security protocols that Trump should be following, what will be the investigations that will be opened into all of this, and more importantly, what are the polling ramifications? There is an election in 50 days. What an insane election. What a wild time to be alive. Killer Klein turned to me the other day and he's like, I know there's a lot of hard work, but it's nice to do it because we're witnessing history. And we're witnessing history right now. What do the polls show? Have there been any major movements since the debate? It has been 1 week ago that it was the debate. Gosh, time is liquid, man. It flies. Just 1 week ago was the debate. And what about this assassination attempt? Will people understand that this is Trump versus the machine? And what happens next? Of course, we would only go to one of the best and most accurate pollsters in America, the great Mark Mitchell, head pollster at Rasmussen, joins the program live now. Mark, thanks for coming back. I saw you posting this morning. I said, gotta get Mark on the show because I've been looking for verifiable data of what happened after the debate. Both parties claiming they won. Donald Trump, assassination attempt. What are the polls showing us, Mark? Oh, correction. I'm so sorry, Mark. We can't hear your audio. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Oh,
there we go, Mark. Got you now. There we go.
We all knew that they were going to try and use that debate to say that she won, and that's, of course, what they're using. The problem is they're only talking to Democrats now, and Kamala Harris is losing independents by 12 points as of our last poll. She needed to win independents over, and you cannot win independents with the content of what she put out in the debate. We're the only people putting out daily data, and there were, of course, some snap polls, but we all know the game has changed. We all know it comes down to viral stuff on TikTok or whatever, and now we have 4 nightly data points out, and the answer is, I don't know, it kind of looks the same. I will say the data has been a little bit more volatile over the last couple of days, but everybody looking at these daily data points knows that there's a plus or minus 5% margin of error on the individual ones. Now, the dotted line here is the 5-period moving average. That's much more like a real poll with a 2-point margin of error. And, we had Trump tied, Trump +6, Trump -6, Trump +6. But you know what? The average still looks like a Trump +2 race with maybe that one outlier in there. And that's exactly where we thought it was going to be and where it's stabilized at. 2 weeks ago, we had Trump +1. The New York Times agreed with us. Doesn't look like anything's really moving the race. Not a Taylor Swift tweet, not Trump getting shot at. I think it's all baked in. And so, again, you could say, we want to see a bigger lead for Trump. Trump +2 is bigger than he's ever done ever in all of our polling at this point in the election cycle. And it's like literally 2 assassination attempts, your best debate, and the DNC can't get you above Trump. The Kamala Harris campaign must be sweating and acting like begging for an act of God right now. Because in my opinion, That's all that's going to move these numbers. And so like maybe the next couple nights is more positive for Harris. Who knows? Because maybe there's a delayed reaction for the debate. I don't know. But Trump's going to keep doing Trump campaigning, which we've all seen. She's going to keep doing inauthentic stuff that's not primed towards addressing independence. And there you have it. That's the race, unless something else happens.
I mean, Trump plus 2 and 3, I think that people don't understand what you just said. Where was Trump versus Biden this time last election? Where was Trump versus Hillary?
Well, in our polling, Trump was down 6 points in 2020. And of course, the final result was 4. That's because we think we were about 2 points to left. Now, we did adjust for that. We shifted 2 points to the right. But then we went and added recall vote, which adds another 3 points of leftward slant. So 6 to 4, down to 7. Now Trump plus 2. That's a 9-point swing from where Trump was in our polling at this point in the election 4 years ago. And it's, we have other charts. I'll tweet it later, the one that shows all the polling going back to Hillary Clinton. The point is the red line has been solidly and steadily increasing year after year over the last 10 years to where it is now. Like Trump has never gotten 49% of the vote. You look at that chart, that's where the average is. He's getting 49% of the electorate. Like he earned those people. I don't think she's going to be able to claw him back. And I think the real question mark is how many of the 47 she's got now she keeps, because maybe people find out more about what's in her platform, or she does a few more like interviews or something. Like, listen, again, anything could change, right? They could negotiate peace with Putin. Biden could resign. That would probably give Kamala Harris, the win here. But I mean, like obvious, like non-black swan stuff. Like I don't see it, right? Like he's been through everything. They weaponized the government against this guy. He's still got 49% of the vote.
So we're going to put up some more of the trend, the cleaner trend line, less noise.
Yeah, there you go.
Polling. Here we go. I mean, listen, this is truly unbelievable. So you're saying it's Trump's to lose. We have 50 days away from the election. Would you advise Trump to do another debate, or would you say, hey, man, this cake's been baked?
No, I think the people who said, look at who declines the next debate, that's your winner, is probably true. And listen, like this, again, this comes down to independence. And I don't believe in all of the focus group voodoo that like Frank Luntz does and all that other stuff. But I do think it was telling to see how the people with their little dials responded to Kamala Harris, the independents, when she was talking. And they look exactly like the Republicans. When she opened her mouth, even before the words came out, there was distaste. And how do you overcome that? Like, I don't know how she's going to do it. And listen, Trump campaigns like Trump is going to campaign. He's going to go to these rallies. I don't know how many minds that's going to change, but it looks like, in my opinion, the last 4 years of the Biden presidency are what changed all these people's minds, because Trump has been polling pretty close to 49 or 50% for like 3 years now. Right?
49, 50% would be a popular vote win for Trump. Is this correct?
Yeah. And don't again, take it from me. Like, yeah, these are national numbers. This is Trump winning the national popular vote. And maybe she'll squeeze out, like maybe they haven't spent $1 billion on advertising yet. I know they're going to focus a lot of it on the swing states. Maybe, this blue line will go up more, but don't just take it from me. Nate Silver came out and only gives Kamala Harris a 58% chance of winning the popular vote herself. When Nate Silver is telling you as a Democrat, you only have a 58%, I don't know what the number is. I think that was like a week or two ago. And she's got, like, Nate Silver has Kamala Harris only, I think, at like a 25 or 30% favor to win the Electoral College. That's kind of where Hillary Clinton was, 4 years ago. Like Trump his numbers were 25, 30% against Hillary Clinton. So it's completely reversed. We saw this coming a long time ago, because ever since the fall of 2021, Biden has been viewed very unfavorably. It's not a popular presidential term. And she was always a part of his administration. And we've asked it a bunch of different ways. Like we just did one earlier this week. I think that, we ask about issues like the border or inflation. And Trump wins over Kamala Harris by, 8 to 12 points, more than he actually does in the election matchup, but less than you'd think. But this one was very telling to me when considering the general conditions for the country, which is closer to your feeling. America needs more of the same, or it needs a fresh start and a new direction. The country says fresh start 69 to 24. But then as a candidate, does Kamala Harris offer more of the same or a fresh start? 60% more of the same, 34% fresh start and new direction. Independents, it's 62% to 30. As a presidential candidate, does Donald Trump offer more of the same? 39% more of the same, 52% fresh start. So this is a man who's been on the political stage for 10 years. He was president for 4 years. He's been in everybody's news. And he's the fresh start and new direction candidate, especially according to independents who say he's a fresh start, 54% to 36%.
You have here's the dial. I know you called for this, so here we go. Best production team on the internet, Mark. Got to tell you, man, we're gun smoke over here, man. We're gonna do hot as a pistol. So Pennsylvania numbers coming out yesterday and today. I'm seeing that, and I think the takeaway there is that Harris has had her lead eroded pretty significantly. Was this Suffolk poll, I believe?
Yeah, I think they got a leftward slant too. I've been looking at the Pennsylvania polling. Insider Advantage just came out with Trump +2. Mm-hmm. We pulled it back in the beginning of the middle of August and had it statistical tie. And so I think there's rightward movement in Pennsylvania. We are literally pulling the trigger on new polls today or tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So next week we should have new Pennsylvania numbers. Look, Trafalgar's got Trump up 2 in Pennsylvania. I expect we're going to be in that vicinity. Pennsylvania is a must-win state. It's looking really bad for Kamala Harris. Our new polls in Pennsylvania, as well as these ones that just dropped, might even start to change the betting odds in Pennsylvania, because I still think they slightly favor Kamala Harris. And then the betting odds will start to go because Pennsylvania is so pivotal. The narrative is going to, in my opinion, probably next week be that Kamala Harris is starting to lose. Not just Nate Silver and Mark Mitchell and a few of these other individual pollsters, like in a way that they can't escape in the mainstream media. At least that's what it looks like.
Well, you were right. You were right the first time you came on the program. I mean, you nailed it, man. And so it's like the closest we can do to having a crystal ball. And so we say thank you, Mark. I mean, obviously we have Peter Thiel doing an interview last week with the All In podcast saying, if it's close enough, they'll try and steal it. And that's Peter Thiel. He's smarter than us. But I mean, with Donald Trump winning the popular vote, that's not close at all, actually.
Yeah.
That's not a close race.
And listen, I know you're putting this on YouTube, so I'll limit what I say. I think people are very suspicious. 66% of voters think the outcome of this election will be affected by cheating. And there is a lot of attention on Pennsylvania right now.
Wow. Yeah. Obviously for good reason. And it sounds like there's been some decent upholdings in the Supreme Court over mail-in ballots and so on. So I guess we'll keep watching. Mark, please come back. Please, producers, I'll say this live. Bookmark Weekly so that you can just come in. We'll just do your own segment and then we can come in and give the updates, because I think it's really, really instructive.
I love it. There's 3 months out of every 4 years where people love numbers. So I'm there for
it. Godspeed, Mark. Here's his account on social. Looks like you got a beautiful, is that like a Jersey Shore there? Or
it's Victorian Ocean Grove on the Jersey Shore, the people that invented beach vacations.
Nice. Okay. Are you from Jersey?
Yeah, born and raised. It's a troubled state.
Very close last gubernatorial election, man. That was within a razor.
Until those late Democrat precinct results,
Isn't that special? Always when the pipes burst, the whole thing, just the pipe bursts right when they're counting the votes. You just got to figure that out. Mark, thank you so much for your clarity on all of this. Please join the show soon.
Will do.
All right. See you, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Trump on a X Spaces last night talking about the assassination attempt. We got a stack show today. I want to make sure that we get to the president talking about what happened when the Secret Service tackled him effectively on the golf course and threw him into a vehicle and then put him in a secure location. Here's Donald Trump speaking for the first time about it.
And all of a sudden we heard shots being fired in the air, and I guess probably 4 or 5. And it sounded like bullets, but what do I know about that? But Secret Service knew immediately it was bullets. And they grabbed me, and I think probably the other one, Steve is one of the people, Steve Witkoff, a great friend of mine, a great businessman from mostly New York and Florida, great businessman, and more importantly, just a fantastic person. So we're in the group, and everybody we got into the carts and we moved along pretty good. I was with an agent, and the agent did a fantastic job. There was no question that we were off that course. I would have loved to have sank that last putt, but we decided, well, let's get out of here. The other one has to get credit to local law enforcement. It was a gentleman that shimmied up to the roof, saw the man with a gun, and probably made him go faster than he would normally go. And so he didn't exactly hit the target the way he wanted. There's something going on. I mean, perhaps it's God wanting me to be president to save this country. Nobody knows, but when I made the right turn, it's very unusual because the people weren't on the right. The people were standing out in front of me.
There's no other way that you can really explain it. Is there? There isn't. There's no other way you can explain it. There's no other way you can explain what Trump is going through right now. There were prophets, and I listen. Listen, I'm just a simple Christian, okay? Don't have the mysteries of the universe. Just read my Bible. Just a simple Christian, all right? That's me. Don't pretend to be anyone who knows anything. But man, there are these guys. There's a clip that went so viral of a Christian prophet who was predicting months before Butler that Donald Trump would be put down on his knees from an assassin's bullet that takes off part of his ear, blood dripping down his face, would come back up and would have the anointing of God. Dude says it like it's on YouTube. You can go check. The production team here is rock solid, and they're like, this is real. And I guess at some point you got to like sit back and say, Trump's been through so much. There's got to be another calling on this man's life. There's got to be. It defies the physical, so it's got to be spiritual at some point. I'm not going to sit here and try and speculate on these things again. Just a simple Christian. Here's the proof. It's up. Includes a naughty word. But anyway, holy S, this video is from 3 months ago. Listen to what he has to say. And the guy's explaining that Trump's going to lose a piece of his ear in an assassination attempt. He's going to come back up and he's going to have the anointing of God. Like what else can you do? You just got to say, okay, they were right. Yesterday, we played multiple clips of Tucker Carlson, Alex Jones predicting these kind of things, predicting the multiple assassination attempts. And of course, the Secret Service whistleblower saying that there's going to be more attempts. So pray for the president here. Eric Trump having sort of a bit of frustration on Fox News last night, being like, how many times am I going to have to explain to my kids that their grandfather was shot? Go.
Well, Sean, my reaction is it feels like deja vu. It feels like 5 weeks ago, you and I are having the exact same conversations we're having today. Let me just be very clear. They are trying to kill the man. They are trying to kill my father. They are trying to kill the 45th president of the United States. We've seen 2 attempts on his life in the last 5 weeks. And I agree with Steve 100%. The Secret Service men and women, I knew the people on stage in Butler, and I knew many of the people that were on the ground, literally 2 days ago. I mean, I know these people. These are the greatest people you'll ever meet. These people will take a bullet from my father. They'll take a bullet for any side. That's their job. They love their job. They're incredibly good at their job. And if I could give that agent who saw the rifle barrel popping through a chain link fence in the middle of, big eureka bushes, if I could give them a big hug, I would do so right now, because there's no question that person saved lives these days. At the same time, I agree with you 100%. I mean, what's happening with the perimeter to these sites? How can that possibly happen? I mean, you're showing a picture on TV right now of an AK-47 with a scope, and a former president and very likely future president, based on the poll numbers and everything else, who was less than 300 yards away. I mean, one bullet. This country, the history of this country changes forever. One bullet. The way the U.S. is perceived changes in a flash. How many other close calls do we have to have? When can we finally get our act together? And so, You know, those agents on the ground, they are remarkable. They are remarkable, and thank God they were there and the way they respond. But there is a breakdown at some point. There has to be. I mean, this is 2 assault rifles within 300 yards of the president, the first one being 130 yards of the president, in a 5-week period of time. And there's only so many chances in the world that you get. There are only so many lives that you're given. And, you know, I mean, just God bless. What happens if the agent would have missed that little skinny rifle barrel popping through a fence? I mean, what happens if they just would have been looking the other way? What happens if a bird would have flown overhead and distracted them in some way, shape, or form? You know, the future of this country could be very different.
We don't pretend to know the Donald Trump. I don't have Trump's phone number. We know people who do, but we don't. You know, we don't ask. We don't pretend. We're never gonna peacock, right? We are very close with the Trump boys, with Don Jr. and Eric, and we love those guys. You know, they're our homies. They're our dogs, and they don't deserve this. Don Jr. posting yesterday. I don't think it's in the script, but it's a brutal post. It's like it's rip your heart off. Like I'm getting Don Jr. saying I'm getting pretty tired of explaining to my 5 children that granddad's safe after a madman tried to kill him. And your heart just goes out to these people. It's part of the plot here is to dehumanize the Trumps and to take away and to just say they're all Hitler. And that's part of the goal is to say they're not deserving of life. This is what the left does this. And they've been doing it for a long time. And this is how you know that they're Marxists. You can put it up, Klein. Great. You can put it up. The left does this. You could. This is how you know they're Marxists, because the trademark, the hallmark of Marxism is those who politically disagree with me. They're in my access lane to power. They got to be destroyed. They're not deserving of a life. And so it's really important to humanize. It's very important to take account of the human suffering that happens through all of this, and it makes you quite angry. And I'm glad that anger is being conveyed and that frustration is being conveyed by the Trumps and the family. I'm glad that that is being crystallized into a official and real investigation done by the state of Florida. Ron DeSantis announcing on Fox what his plans are for this investigation. We played you his press conference, but here's what he said officially on Fox News last night.
Well, the state of Florida is going to do our own investigation. Clearly, there were multiple violations of Florida law. We also, I think, have an interest in vindicating the truth about where this guy came from, what his motivations were. The people of our state deserve that. I don't think it's in the best interest of this country to say that agencies like the FBI and DOJ, which are trying to prosecute Trump in South Florida, they're on appeal at the 11th Circuit trying to reinstate an indictment that had been dismissed, that they're the best people to turn around and, one, give us the truth about this defendant, but also to prosecute the case where they don't have as strong of jurisdictional claims. And so we are going to be doing our investigation. I'm going to have more to say on that very shortly about what precisely we're going to do. But I would know, Jesse, I've played golf with the president when he was in office at that course. It's a great golf course. That part of the property, the 5th green, the 6th hole, and then the 7th tee, that is right there up against the fence line. So the fence line is covered with shrubbery. So if you were just walking by, you couldn't really see inside. But that is clearly the biggest point of vulnerability on that course, because if you're burrowed into those shrubs, you have a pretty clear line of sight on a number of golf holes. And so when I heard that this had happened, there were kind of conflicting reports. Maybe 2 people were shooting at each other. They said, no, this was meant for President Trump. I immediately knew exactly what part of the course it would have been in. So how did this guy get in there? How was he able to burrow in? And yeah, we're thankful that the Secret Service agent, when he saw the muzzle of the gun, fired and caused the defendant to leave. But that guy was burrowed in there, seems like, for the rest of the night. How did that happen?
Right. Thank God. What a great question, man. We're so proud of. We just love this audience. We love you. We care. You won't find a show, a stream, or a team that cares so much more. Cares as much about their audiences as this one. You just won't. This won't. It's not possible. Not only do we make custom emojis for you, so you give us some fights in the chat. Not only do we make the custom emojis. I mean, listen, we actually change policy. Who do you think burrows these ideas into DeSantis' head? We were the first ones up and out with that Eric Prince interview, and DeSantis an hour later said, "All right, I'm launching an interview. I'm launching my own investigation after our interview." That's great. It's the power of all of us together, and it makes me it's so spiriting. I guess it really is the energy that keeps us going, and so we just say thank you. It's so amazing to hear Ron DeSantis, who's without question one of the most powerful politicians in the country, without a doubt. It's so encouraging to hear him go, how'd that gunman know where Trump was going to be? Boy, sure would be nice to know who was tipping him off. And lucky for us, we have the criminal rights to all of his electronic devices. So you can't just bury them deep in the center of the earth, FBI, and no one will ever find him again. We're going to get that information. And if it was just luck of the draw, then you know what? Fine. It's just autistic luck. But if there is something else going on, the public will know. Oh, it's great. He brought up Vegas. He brought up the Vegas shooting. This is DeSantis' moment, man. I'll tell you what, this is the moment. We feel that energy. Libs are losing their minds. Libs are losing their minds on this. We haven't done Assault That Lib in a very long time. We have our salt shakers ready. Fill that comment section with the sweet salt and sodium that our libs need. They must have it to survive. They must have it. They must drink it. They are sodium deficient. We have Hillary Clinton complaining about the Trump assassination attempt. She's Hillary Clinton complaining that there's no little cameras that can be flipped off in a cell. It makes it so much easier, given Hillary's background here, to get the job done, as it were. Hillary Clinton very frustrated that Donald Trump, once again dodging bullets, went on TV last night and screeched and screamed about it. Couldn't even give Trump 24 hours. This is how you know they're losing. We just had Rasmussen on saying they're losing. Kamala Harris is the loser. And this is how you know, because they're behaving like this. Listen to Hillary Clinton screech and scream out orders to the press about Donald Trump. And then we have a twofer here. We have Don Lemon as well. So why not get that salt? Salt these libs. I want to see salt pouring through the comment section. Let's go, baby. Get the chat salt ready. Let's go.
And I don't understand why it's so difficult for the press to have a consistent narrative about how dangerous Trump is. The late, great journalist Harry Evans, one time said that, journalists should, really try to achieve objectivity. And by that, he said, I mean, they should cover the object. Well, the object in this case is Donald Trump. His demagoguery, his danger to our country and the world, and stick with it.
Crooked Joe, Crooked Hillary, Crooked Kamala, Comrade Kamala, deranged Jack Smith, bird brain Nikki Haley, bloodbath if he's not elected. There won't be another election if he's not elected. Bringing drugs, they're bringing crime, they're rapists, poisoning the blood of our country, destroying the blood of our country, which was something that was Hitler-esque. Communist, Marxist, fascist, left-leaning, that live like vermin, sons of bitches to NBA players, shithole countries. Haiti was one, and now he's blaming Haitian immigrants for things. Blood coming out of her wherever, as he talked about Megyn Kelly. And so if Donald Trump wants Kamala Harris and others to stop saying that he is a threat to democracy, then he should stop threatening democracy. Perhaps he shouldn't be trying to overturn elections, overthrow the government, and inciting insurrections if he doesn't want people to be honest about what he is, who he is, and what he's doing.
They really didn't like the bird brain, Nikki Haley. They really didn't like that nickname. He read it up. He reads it up. Bird brain. Quick, add another charge. Add another charge to Jack Smith. He called it bird brain. Oh man, Hillary Clinton, what a witch! What a witch! I'm not sure that's even the worst clip from Hillary. Oh man, this is Donald Trump. There must be an object in. ALX is gonna love this one. ALX is gonna love this one. I'm not gonna bring him on the show. ALX is gonna love this one. The late great. You can see how you know it. ALX knows. ALX knows. There he is. ALX knows it.
Anybody?
He knows it. He knows it. ALX, I just muted you. The late great. The late great what?
Sorry, I hold on. I have my audio muted on this.
There you go.
Hannibal Lecter. Hannibal Lecter.
You can tell.
I monitor the show on YouTube so I can hear everything. So I hear everything delayed. So sorry about that.
She's watching. I'm sorry. I said I wouldn't do it, but it's too easy. Because I'm standing next to ALX at a Trump rally, and ALX is predicting everything Trump's going to say, like before he says it, with the handbook. This is how much Trump we watch on this program.
That was classic.
The one that sent me was ALX predicted perfectly the late great Hannibal Lecter.
Hannibal Lecter. He wants to have you for dinner.
But this shows that Hillary's watching all these Trump events, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%. She can't get enough.
Like a raging ex-wife, like an enraged like Chardonnay ex-wife. She's hate watching Trump on TV every day.
I have like so many people too. They're like, she looks rough. She looks rough. Like people keep saying that she looks like George Soros in a wig.
Can we get that? Let's see. Let's see. Can we load that as a play beside? It's certainly very interesting. ALX, just very, very quickly. This was amazing. The Rasmussen guy.
Oh yeah,
that was amazing. Like, 100%. So he's like, everything's unchanged. Kamala's going to be losing by next week. You agree with that?
Yeah, I think so. And I like how they do it. They have a daily tracking poll, and then they have like the moving average, rather than like these people always have these outlier polls. I don't know if you remember like a couple months ago with the Fox poll, everyone was like hyping the Fox poll that showed Kamala up. It's like they have one poll and it's an outlier poll, and they are just like they're hyping it up as if that's the new state of the race. You have to look at the aggregate of polls from a whole different, part of not just one, but like the aggregate and average of all polls from all different pollsters. That gives you the kind of trend line. And that's the thing. People say that, oh, Trump says the polls are fake. They complain about the polls, but yet he cites, I'm leading in the averages or whatever. That's the difference. We look at the averages because it shows a trend and a pattern rather than focusing on the just single numbers like Democrats do.
Yes. Speaking of focusing on data points, your data point here that Hillary Clinton is morphing into George Soros is correct. We actually, you could see it. You can see it happening in real life. Look at this.
Yeah, there's another one that's really good.
This is hideous.
Holy
moly. This one? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the other one that's about to go up went really viral, and you could really see, I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was like AI and they face swapped her, but it's an actual video. So I had like friends texting me about, wow, there it is. Yeah, like that is rough. Look at that.
Whoa, bro. This is real. Nobody added a filter to this.
That is real. Yeah.
Ooh. Man, oh boy.
Yes, I had my personal friends texting me last night when they saw me put out the clip of Hillary on MSNBC. They're like, wow, she's looking rough. I'm like, yep.
So yeah, I mean, I guess Bill, if I was married to this, I'd be hopping on a private jet too and get as far away as possible. We have that story really quickly. Can you tell me like what's the story? We have the Jeffrey Epstein of the rap industry arrested this morning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I didn't get a chance to read like the actual unsealed indictment, but I mean, we've covered it in the past. Diddy with his parties and everything. So yeah, he was arrested last night in New York. We have a couple breaking news stuff built out in the next couple blocks on it, but But yeah, he was championed by the Democrats, and he was the whole get out the vote guy for Obama, and buddy with Hillary. So I mean, tells you everything you need to know.
We were at the DNC, ALX. Diddy wasn't invited to this DNC. Very interesting.
Curious. Yeah. He wasn't one of the entertainers that Kamala brought on stage. Quavo instead.
The charges, man. Yeah, my man Quavo. And the charges. Somebody should ask Kamala. Can you give me a Quavo quote? Can you quote one of his, just a name of one of his songs, please?
It's interesting because, like, in 2020, she's like my friend Quavo now, but in 2020, she couldn't name a single rapper. She's like naming dead rappers. Tupac is my favorite rapper alive, and he's dead. He's been dead since like the 90s. And she could name her best friend, Quavo.
And in 2016, she was putting rappers away for smoking weed.
Oh yeah, that too.
So we have Diddy. These are the charges. Okay, here we go. So they just dropped they unsealed the indictment. Sex trafficking, prostitution, transporting women for prostitution, and there you go. Yeah, pop it up, and then racketeering. So everything that Hunter Biden should have been charged with, everything that Jeffrey Epstein should have been charged with, right?
Yeah. It's interesting that they're going after, him now. I don't know what the motive is there.
He didn't endorse Kamala fast enough.
Yeah. Interesting.
All right. Final real quick thing. Klein, can you pop that up? Because this is very important. We've talked about this, but I've never gotten ALX on the record on this. I've already made a joke on the show about Hillary being a lizard person. This is her new book. This is why she's doing press. Many people saying that she's got lizard eyes here. Your thoughts, ALX?
I cannot confirm or deny if she's a lizard person, but those eyes look kind of creepy and definitely edited. I think it was hilarious last night. So she went on. They, when they do the books, they introduce the guest and have the book up. So they had that up, and then it like flashes to her, and I'm like, okay, those are two different people.
Not the same. So go from Klein. Go from this to ALX's post, please. Where you got?
Yeah.
No. The other one.
No, I'll go to the other one. The better one.
There you go. Yeah.
Those are not the same person.
One of these things is not like the other. Yeah. No. No. There you go.
She's just catfishing the entire world.
Catfishing the world. Do you
covers catfish? Uncanny.
It's uncanny. It really is. You would have to check the bags under their eyes. This must be the burden of evil, is to have like bags that must be checked when you get on a flight.
Oh my gosh.
Goodness, they all fly private. Yeah. Okay. Well, lots of baggage there. The great ALX keeping us buttoned up. Everybody go follow ALX. Obviously, you just click on the profile there. Yeah. Okay. Everybody follow ALX. You gained quite a few subscribers since you're last on ALX. Almost 800,000.
Oh yes, we're getting up to 1 million eventually. We'll get there.
Right. That's exactly right.
New header too.
Yes, that's right. A photo of ALX speaking to his subs.
Speaking to my subs, exactly.
800,000 Americans can't be wrong. Follow ALX. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
What a show. What a great show. Okay, so we had a very encouraging clip that I wanted to get to from Nevada. It's clip J here, Klein. CBS News does a poll in Nevada, brings on people from Nevada, and it really buckles up what we've been talking about on the program here. They're like, people just don't trust the feds. They don't trust the federal government. They hate Kamala Harris. They hate this current administration, and that they're cooked. This is going to be very interesting next week. They're cooked. What happens next? We'll see. Here's what CBS broadcast about Nevadians.
We had so much fun. But what was really incredible is in every single restaurant of the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant. And we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
You could only find one Harris supporter. Better not be Jerry. Better not be Jerry. Jerry, if you're listening, Jerry's our illustrious meme maker. Better not be Jerry. Jerry lives in Nevada. Jerry, if this was you in a diner saying that you are the one Kamala Harris supporter, we'll find out, buddy. We'll find out. Jerry is potentially deep in the meme caverns, deep in the meme caves. And ladies and gentlemen, we are busted. All right. Well, Jerry is busted. Okay. It might have been Jerry. You never know. Always with a pep in our step, with a chip on our shoulder, with a stiff upper lip, we bring you the program. We do it because, well, we love you and we care about this country. We have children here. We have something to fight for. And so, unlike the childless, godless left, we have something to we have a heritage to leave to our kids. And this is what motivates us. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to keep fighting. Please join us in the fight, the Benny Brigade. You can go to BennyJohnson.com and sign up for the Benny Brigade. They also have subscriptions and memberships on social media, on X and on YouTube. No matter where you're watching, if you wish to support us in our work, please become a subscriber. It helps us in, fighting the commies who want to destroy this place, want to destroy all of us, and really hate independent journalism. You know what you can do when you're an independent journalist? You know what you can do when you're completely independent and you got no strings to hold you down? You know what you can do? You can read a Bible verse. You know what you're not allowed to do? Read a Bible verse, or even talk about your faith on any other platform. We've worked on other platforms. We've worked in cable news. We had a cable news show for 3 years. You're not allowed to do these things. And so these are the kind of things that are very special to us. Psalms 60, verse of the day, every day. With God's help, we will do mighty things, for he will trample down our foes. Feel that energy. Get that energy. Make sure that you are ready for the great trampling that will happen in, 50 days. 50 days. The great trampling is upon us. We don't need to cast our cares or our worries on men or political parties or anybody. They'll all let you down. Cast your cares upon God and our Savior, Jesus Christ, and then you'll be good. And then you will be good. Let's see what meme Jerry has. Let's see what meme Jerry has for us today as we sign out. Are we signing off with the meme, Klein? All right, fantastic. Oh, and ALX reminding us, starting this week, we got new channels. Follow our channels in the description of this video. Benny on the Block channel official, and the Benny Brews channel for long form interviews that we're going to be doing at bars and breweries across the country. We've already done some of these. The channels are linked on our channel. So please go give those a follow. We're going to start rolling out the content. It's going to be regular content weekly. Hopefully more than that, but weekly on these channels where we can, really dive in and provide more truth, salt, and light to this dark world, which I suppose is our calling around here. And so we say thank you. We appreciate all of your support, and we love you all. We're going to be live tonight. Team Never Quit. We're going to live tonight. Donald Trump's doing a town hall in Pennsylvania. Is that right, ALX? No, Wisconsin. It's hard to keep them straight. Donald Trump's doing a town hall in what state? In Michigan. I was so close. Michigan. Town hall in Michigan. It's going to be in Flint, Michigan, of all places. Will Michael Moore be the moderator? We're not sure, but we'll be live for it, and we'll be there for you. We know of no corporate media that's going to be broadcasting these things, and so we've taken upon ourselves to make sure that you get access to your president, and that we're not going to be, that we'll be able to allow Trump to speak. Here we go. That's more beautiful. That's a better look on the channels. There we go. Let's pop that one up. So these are the channels, ladies and gentlemen. Hop on in, be early, and jump on in. And we're gonna be making a lot more content. We're thankful for you, we're just thankful. We really appreciate you. March forward with us on to victory. That is assured, and make sure that we are ready to win. We certainly are. We've been fighting for a while. Fighting darkness. Yeah. But the victory is ours. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See ya.
Say the line. Please say the line.
Come on, say the line.
Say your line.
This leads to me saying the line.
Just say your line.
Say your line. Say your line.
Say the line, Bart.
He was on our radar.
Where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. Liberty to light, bringing liberty to light. Liberty to light, bringing liberty to life. From the speeches to debates, Benny sharp like a blade, cutting through the lies, watch the truth cascade. With the warrior's heart, this man never fades. You know it's prime time when Benny invades. From saving the nation to stories untold, the Benny Show's a storm, see the truth unfold. Stay in the loop, let freedom take hold. Salting all the libs, soul never sold. It's the Benny Show, where the truth gon' be, faith and freedom on your TV screen. Stand up strong, battle through the night. The Benny Show's here, bringing liberty to life. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light. Bringing liberty to light.